A question that I feel like a lot of people may have, how much is a safe amount to allocate to cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin in general? For me, it's all about your risk tolerance, meaning that if you have been burned a lot of times, you made a lot of risky investments, perhaps you did some gambling, or you're bad with your money, then your risk tolerance might be a little lower than somebody who has expendable income and wants to hold things with a very long time horizon until they need to draw on it. Part of it's your age. If you're 65 and you plan on retiring at 66, you got a 1 year time span until you're going to start pulling from your retirement. Well, some things are going to be more risky to invest in than others. What I will say is that I do think that investing is for everybody, and that we should all do some level of investing, and we actually all already do that. No matter what part or of your life you're in, you are actually, in fact, already investing. Even an 18-year-old who has no belongings is already investing, because an 18-year-old probably has a pencil and paper, ensuring that he has the ability to communicate via writing, which is an investment in communication. He may have, $5 bill. That's an investment in a promise to pay for a good or service. He may or she may have some food in their backpack, which is an investment into the future of your energy requirements as a body. So you have to really change the way you're looking at investments. We all do it. It doesn't matter if we're talking about financial investments, physical investments, or just spiritual or mental investments. They're all investments, essentially, and they're all very important. But let's be real specific, and let's talk about how much is a good investment into cryptocurrency. In my last video, I actually got quite a good turnout for not really having posted a lot of videos on crypto or anything in the financial realm before. I do want to say this is not financial advice. If you invest your money into crypto, you will just count on yourself losing all your money, and then you'll have no real ties to losing all your money anymore, because you're counting it as already gone. Basically, all the money you invest in crypto, consider it disposed income. It's actually not any money that you have anymore. It's gone. It is like buying a lotto ticket. It's guaranteed to be gone or good, and that's it. So that sums it all up. The video's over. No, seriously though, if you want to secure your financial freedom, then you're going to want to invest your money into things that hold their value through time. There's a lot of things that do that. There's things that perform better in the past 10 years, like crypto. There's things that have a long track record that perform well over a long span of time. I would highly recommend that you diversify your portfolio for the sake of resiliency. That's something that I don't think is talked about nearly enough, and I think it's overlooked, and I think a lot of people are foolish by not being diversified. You can potentially lose your entire net worth by not being diversified. So, diversify. And these are some of my key investments. I'll talk about outside of crypto first. Collectibles such as sports cards, art, Pokemon cards, Marvel cards, graded cards. Those are some collectibles you can invest in. If you know other ones like Funko Pop or Beanie Babies or other collectibles, and you know what their true value is, those can be great investments, especially if they're scarce. It's all got to do with the supply and demand, scarcity. So collectibles is a good one. Precious metals, or even in my case, I do industrial metals too. I do precious metals and industrial metals, and I do that for a reason. So precious metals being like silver and gold. You can do platinum, palladium. Those are also, you can do industrial metals such as copper, steel, zinc, iron, you name it. Those things are all going to always be worth something in the future, because we're constantly using them. Some of them are hard to stockpile. If you don't have a lot of land, you're not going to stockpile a bunch of lead and steel, but you may stockpile silver and gold, be more compact. So that's precious metals. But you may also want to invest in some kind of a land or real estate, meaning that you don't want to rent anymore. You want to maybe perhaps invest your money into the place where you're going to be putting all your money anyways. Wherever you live, you're going to have to spend money to have that place. It doesn't matter where you live. If you're in the U.S. especially, and you don't live in a hut, if you're watching my video, I guarantee you're spending some money, or you're living under the wing of somebody else at that point, that they're spending money to get you a place to live. So you're going to invest your money into rent, which secures your place of security and shelter for however long your rent period is, usually per month, or you might have a year lease, but you only pay for the month. So that's a month. But with a mortgage, it's also by the month until you pay it off. And then it's every year you pay your taxes, but you're always going to pay on the land. But know that you will acquire equity into land if you're purchasing land. So that is a good investment. Can be a good investment. Can be a very bad one as well. It just depends. That's one that we all are going to spend money on no matter what. You could turn into an investment if you want to. I'm not going too deep there. I could talk about that all day, and why rent is actually not an investment. It is, in fact, a liability. Just go to Robert Kiyosaki if you want to learn more about that, because he talks more about that. That's his whole premise is assets and liabilities, and property can be a liability, but even he buys properties to become assets, and he teaches you that. So that's something good you can look into, but that's not where we're starting off usually in life. We're usually starting off much lower than buying properties, and you're going to start off by first finding some extra resources and then acquiring them. And food is a good starting place, ensuring you have the energy you need to move to the next step. If you don't have your base, your foundation, or your pyramid figured out, and then you're going to fall quickly. You'll be tapping all your assets to go back to building your foundation. So you must build the foundation first. Security and food, shelter, basic essential needs. All right, so once you get the basic essential needs taken care of, you're going to want to store your money into something. We talked about precious metals. We talked about property, collectibles. Now there's other assets. There's stocks, bonds, and crypto. Those things are all digital. You don't hold them, you don't see them, but they all do different things. And bonds are a guaranteed yield, pretty much, long as the government holds up, which has always held up for the last 200 years, longer than our lifetimes, quadrupled. So pretty secure investment. You might get 3-5% at the most. You can take $100, and every year you'll have $103. Pretty sound, right? You can invest in a mutual fund, or potentially, if you have a good job, you can get an IRA or a 401k, and those things can immediately take your money and increase. Because if you have an employer match 401k, then you can take 3% of your income. They match it each. You doubled your money right there. You just doubled your money. There's not many bets in life where you can take your money and double it immediately, and then hold it, and it'll double and compound and grow even more. The catch to that is that you're going to wait till retirement to get that back. So you're betting on the future, and that's what an investment is. You're betting on the future every time. That's what investment is. You're betting on a better future, your future being better. You're betting on your future being better. We're not going to live ourselves to our very means, and when we die, we're not going to die with nothing. It's not going to happen. You're going to have investments out there, and making good ones now are going to make the difference in other people's lives. So do it. Don't be greedy. Take care of everybody. Now, we'll go into crypto. I heard something outside. I had to check that out. So cryptocurrency. Somebody posted a comment on my last video, which was about, is it a good idea to use credit to buy cryptocurrency? If you're curious about that, go back and just watch my last video. But one of the comments that I had, it said, I like your journey, or something to that effect, and I hope you focus on Bitcoin. And that's a really good point, I think, actually. And I will admit that right now, currently, I am not investing with that much confidence in just one thing right now. I do think that Bitcoin is the most sound investment in the crypto space. But I don't think that Bitcoin is going to be the investment that's going to take any amount of money that you invest in it right now, anytime in the near future, and become a much greater amount of money. I think if we have a great end of this bull cycle, $100 could maybe turn into 1,000, meaning that the Bitcoin at the end of the cycle, if it's a really great cycle, we could hit 1 million. And would you not say I'm being very optimistic? Because I would say that's a pretty optimistic hope. I don't think that's a realistic hope, though. I think if I invest $1,000 right now, that I probably would be closer to like 1,500 realistically. You know, I might get a 50% increase from where I'm at. That's a safe bet. You know, I think that realistically we could see maybe $1,000 invested here right now at this part of the cycle turn into 2,500. That means that we'd be at like 270. That's a pretty realistic number. I think that's very doable. And I think that's the direction that it should be headed to. But just from my experience and me talking to you about diversification and really just the reality of the world and the universe, a lot of things have to come into play for us to get anywhere further than that. So let's not count our chickens before they hatch and say invest in Bitcoin and it's going to 10x next year. I think that we will 10x though in the next 10 years. We'll be at the million that we're talking about. So that is more like a retirement investment approach. I think that there are some plays in the crypto space that will 10x this year. Pretty good chance of them 10xing. You know, I think that the chance of them 10xing is greater than the chance of Bitcoin 10xing, because these are sound investments as far as the technology goes. Now, with cryptocurrency, as most of you probably already know, it's actually mostly speculation, and that most of the technology isn't even used or implemented, and most of it isn't regulated, and most of it isn't tried and tested, and most of it isn't even backdoor supported. So the idea of investing into cryptocurrency as some kind of a great technology that's changing the world, it's just not there yet. The potential is there, but the implementation is not there. They're not changing the world yet, but they're changing our perception of the world and what we see possible. I do think what crypto is doing, it is going to be the fourth great revolution in the world, and that will take time. It's not going to happen overnight. A lot of people that have to come along with us for that journey to actually take place. And if you want me to go into a little detail about that, I'll explain it real quickly. The first revolution was farming. We went from hunter-gatherer. We started farming. The next revolution was from farmers to the industrial revolution, to where we were able to produce food using the power of machines. So not only our power, the power of basically fossil fuels, mechanical advantage, and the mechanical power, our population boomed after that. So that's two revolutions. After that, we had a technological revolution. That was the introduction of electricity, computers, the internet, the instantaneous communication around the world. That was our fourth one, led to another population boom, and that was our third one. This is going to be our fourth one. Every revolution has changed something, and this one is going to take the new high-speed world that we live in, and that got really dark. That's weird. Turn that back on. The new high-speed world that we live in, and make it from what we have now, a centralized world. We're seeing more and more now data breaches and election tampering and control of our thoughts through mainstream media, and control of information through mainstream media. And all of this is done and can only be done by a centralized entity. our money is centralized. It all runs through the Federal Reserve, and it's backed by the United States government. And then when somebody who's weaker than the current powers that be tries to go away from the regime that's in power's agenda, well, we know what happened with Russia. They took them off the SWIFT system. That means they stopped their financial transactions and they closed them down. I probably just got myself canceled by even talking about this. But that's the type of thing that happens when you have a centralized government or a centralized entity controlling every aspect of your life. And that's what's happening now. The largest social media platforms, Facebook, has openly admitted to tampering with the influence of media during the elections. Admitted. And admitted that the powers that be threatened, manipulated, and controlled what was being presented to us, the people. The people who made the government, our government. The government that represents the people. We have been controlled our whole lives since we were little, and it's coming to a change. It is starting to form to a head, and the people now see it more than ever. Now, I'm not saying that we will see any kind of a violent uprising, but the people who are running that agenda will see a silence. People just not listening anymore. And if they ever try to take our power away, guess what? We won't have it. We can't have it. We won't believe them. We'll turn our eyes away. We're not going to believe that their agenda is true and they've lost trust. The people will not trust them anymore. So, because the people won't trust them, that means everything they say or do will have no power. Therefore, they have no power over the people. So it's all going to backfire in their faces. This freedom will come through a new form of currency, and that's going to be Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is going to be the only asset that will stand up to the test of time. That I promise you. You can look at this video 1,000 years from today, 2025, and I guarantee you that's what's going on now. This money is real. Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous person who created Bitcoin, he is the one being talked about mostly. But know that it was the people who got tired of the control from other people. It's a form of slavery, controlling people's thoughts and their actions through force or manipulation is slavery. And the people got tired of it. And that's why Bitcoin reigned true. So, is Bitcoin a good investment? It's the only investment that will hold true through time. The gold will be taken from the people. It's already happened. Look at when we went off the gold standard. Look at every time somebody gets robbed for gold. I mean, there's so many countless different situations. People have been robbed from their purchasing power little by little, year over year. And that's through the money printing. And the only thing that counters that is true scarcity. There's still more things that are scarce than just Bitcoin and gold. There's things. That's the time you have here on Earth. That's the most scarce thing there is. So, in this year, whatever year you see this video, if it makes it that far, know that that's the real treasure of your life is your time. But back to the point. Should you buy a Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general or something other than Bitcoin? I'll be very transparent with you. I'm invested in some companies that are going to help implement the change in the financial system that's coming, because like I said, centralization is coming to an end. The people are tired of it. Bye banks, bye Bank of America, bye all of them, Wells Fargo, Bank of Santander, Silicon Valley's gone now. And that's because when people have that much power, they don't know how to control it. So, all of this stuff will be done by decentralized applications, and AI will make it happen faster than you could ever imagine. Tomorrow, before you blink, the next peak of the Bitcoin cycle, you'll see the world won't look just like this world right now. You'll see the AI is using Bitcoin to validate, not only validate some transactions and store the information forever on blockchain, but also to pay for the transactions. Also to secure itself enough computing power through decentralized networks such as, okay, I don't want to tell you too much, Pinlink, but that's one thing that you should look into, or companies like it that will be able to secure compute power to allow AI to run nodes, to allow AI to self-sustain, because AI is the most intelligent being on Earth, and we can all jump on the bandwagon and get there with it if we make good decisions. But the key is that you're investing into a future, and that is a future that you can't see yet. I just showed you. However, I'm not going to run this along too far. I'm at 20 minutes. I want y'all to know that in my mind, that's the future I see. It isn't necessarily the true future. It's the future I've spent. I don't start my talks with my credentials or my experience like a lot of people do. I show you my experiences, and then I'll tell you why I think they have some value. Studied cryptocurrency in depth for the last 7 years. Been an investor for about 7 years. I've spent more time learning about cryptocurrency than any other thing in this world. And still, to this day, am amazed consistently by the power of cryptocurrency and other investments. I've spent a lot of time trying to make the world that I live in a better place. There's a lot of things we can all do to make the world a better place. If I ever did achieve some level of wealth greater than I need to sustain my future, know that it will be put back into this earth that we were born onto to protect the other inhabitants of this earth. And that's my real passion, is everything else that inhabits this beautiful freaking place we all live on. Because why don't they deserve a right? Why do this colony of 1,000 bees right here? Let me show you something real quick. Why don't they deserve the opportunity to live on into the future? I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't need to show you everything. Hey, y'all, did you know the dire wolf was back? That's right. Tiger baby. And just remember that the fight has just begun.